It's a year in the making. Camp Kilmer's finally gone live today.
I was sidelined by Hollywood 15 years without a single role from major studios. These were the bitter words of Val Kilmer during a 2017 interview with The Hollywood Reporter. From the heights of Top Gun 1986 to Batman Forever 1995, Kilmer abruptly vanished from the spotlight without clear explanation. But his disappearance wasn't solely due to throat cancer, it was tied to a darker secret. He had openly challenged the hidden powers within Hollywood. When Kilmer passed away on April 1, 2025, the coroner's report revealed unsettling details. Severe malnutrition, high doses of opioids, and an untreated infected surgical wound. These findings sparked suspicions of a force behind his death. Mel Gibson, his close friend who had remained silent for years, finally revealed that Kilmer was blacklisted for defying powerful industry figures, a move that cost him his career. Who was responsible for placing Kilmer on this blacklist? Is Hollywood truly a haven for creative freedom, or merely a machine controlled by shadowy powers? Join us on a journey to unveil the secrets buried by time and authority. To uncover the truth, we must travel back in time, to the glorious days and the dark corners that devoured Val Kilmer's light. In the 1990s, Val Kilmer was a shining star of Hollywood, delivering unforgettable performances as Iceman in Top Gun 1986, Doc Holliday in Tombstone 1993, and Jim Morrison in The Doors 1991. His pinnacle arrived in 1995 with Batman Forever. In the Batsuit, Kilmer was more than just Bruce Wayne. He was a brooding, introspective, enigmatic Wayne, at times carrying a captivating hint of madness. Batman Forever grossed over $330 million globally, according to Box Office Mojo, cementing Kilmer as a cinematic icon. For fans, Kilmer was Batman, a version nearly impossible to replace amid the turbulent timeline of the franchise. But it was during Batman Forever that the first cracks began to appear. On the set of Batman Forever, tensions erupted. Director Joel Schumacher called Kilmer a storm beyond control, The Independent 1996, criticizing him as rude and psychotic. 2 years later, Kilmer was absent from Batman and Robin 1997, replaced by George Clooney. Hollywood is no stranger to big egos. Stars have thrown chairs, smashed tables, and berated entire film crews on set, yet still landed leading roles, won Oscars, and were hailed as legends. So why did Val Kilmer, whose performances in Top Gun, The Doors, and Tombstone had set box offices ablaze, fade away over a few vague complaints? After Batman Forever, Kilmer was gradually sidelined from major projects, though he still appeared in independent films like The Saint 1997. By 1998-1999, Val Kilmer, the star who once shook Hollywood, had vanished from the spotlight entirely. In 2017, during a Reddit AMA, The Hollywood Reporter, he revealed, "I was blacklisted 15 years and no studio called my name." But moments later he backtracked, maybe not exactly. That hesitation hinted at the pressure to stay silent. Reflecting on that period, Kilmer admitted he had no regrets about rejecting Hollywood's unspoken rules, but if given the chance, he would have handled things more wisely. Although Kilmer never directly admitted to being boycotted, confessions from friends like Mel Gibson indirectly confirmed the existence of a blacklist. According to Gibson, Kilmer was well connected in the industry and unafraid to confront Hollywood's powerful forces. This made him a target for those determined to maintain absolute control, and it may well have been what pushed him out of major projects. Kilmer's hasty words, along with Gibson's revelations, inadvertently opened the door to an untold story about those who dared to cross the forbidden boundaries of the film industry. The label of being difficult, pinned on Kilmer by director Joel Schumacher and studios after conflicts on the set of Batman Forever, seems merely a facade. It was the blacklist itself, a silent, invisible blade that severed Kilmer's career, leaving him in 15 years of solitude, without roles or the glow of the spotlight. In Hollywood's world, figures like Kilmer, Mel Gibson, Wesley Snipes, and Brendan Fraser share a common thread. They were once stars only to vanish inexplicably. Their experiences were not the result of personal failures or professional missteps, but of unseen pressures from a covert system where moguls pull the strings behind the curtain. Mel Gibson, Kilmer's close friend, once described Hollywood as a minefield full of traps. These traps are not external dangers, but unspoken demands and inviolable rules. Like Gibson, Kilmer refused to bow to these rules. Perhaps he stumbled upon a secret too dangerous, or simply declined to sign an implicit contract, one that could grant public influence, but would lead to ostracism and expulsion from the industry for those who defy it. The whispers of Hollywood's blacklist are not mere rumors. They are a real part of the industry's machinery, where relationships and power, more than talent, determine who rises to glory and who sinks into oblivion. Val Kilmer was not just a forgotten star, He was a victim of a system rife with manipulation and invisible decisions. So, was his passing the conclusion of a mysterious... In the years that followed, Kilmer gradually faded from the screen, appearing only in a handful of minor roles. In 2015, throat cancer struck, robbing Val Kilmer of the voice that had once captivated millions. A tracheotomy saved his life but left a permanent scar. He could only speak through an assistive device, his voice trembling and halting. The disease ravaged his body, transforming Kilmer, once the action icon of Top Gun, into a frail, gaunt figure. Yet, the deepest pain came not from illness, but from the isolation he chose, as if the world had long turned its back on him. Sidelined by Hollywood for 15 years, Kilmer lost faith in the industry that had once celebrated him. The documentary Val 2021, produced by Kilmer and his children, is a candid reflection on a life of triumph and wounds. In it, Kilmer doesn't rail against the blacklist, but his eyes betray the anguish of a man betrayed. He recounts his reclusive days at a New Mexico ranch, where he painted, wrote journals, and found solace with his two children, Mercedes and Jack. "I don't need the spotlight," he wrote. "Art and family are enough." Despite being besieged by illness and obscurity, Kilmer remained resolute. He refused to appear in the media to dwell on his condition or seek public sympathy. His brief role in Top Gun Maverick 2022, reuniting with Tom Cruise, marked a rare return. But soon after, Kilmer vanished entirely. No interviews, no events, no social media. Val stopped responding, a close friend shared. He was always enigmatic, but this time it's as if he wanted to dissolve into the shadows. That silence stemmed from more than cancer. After 15 years of being blacklisted, Kilmer seemed to accept that Hollywood no longer had a place for him. Doors once wide open were now firmly shut, and old connections faded. Friends noted that he rarely spoke of the past, but when he mentioned Hollywood, his voice carried a trace of bitterness. Comment: Kilmer's isolation was not merely a consequence of illness. On April 1st, 2025, Val Kilmer passed away at the age of 65, not an April Fool's prank, but a heartbreaking reality. The news spread quickly, yet it came with no clear explanations. Hollywood lost an icon, but a lingering question remained: why did Kilmer choose to isolate himself in his final days? According to a coroner's report from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, the cause of death was clearly listed: pneumonia, acute respiratory failure, and long-term complications from throat cancer, a disease he had battled for nearly a decade. But beneath those three seemingly unremarkable lines lay a chilling and peculiar detailed account, signs that would make any forensic expert pause and reflect. First, severe malnutrition. How could a former Hollywood action icon, once a fixture on the Cannes red carpet, die in a state of alarming malnourishment? This was not a typical consequence of cancer. It suggested a prolonged period of neglect, cut off from proper medical care. Second, an untreated infected surgical wound. Kilmer had undergone a tracheotomy due to his cancer, but the infection and lack of treatment indicated he no longer had access to even basic health care, despite living in California, home to one of the world's most advanced medical systems. Who was at fault here? Kilmer himself, or did someone enable his surrender? Third, high levels of opioids in his blood. While Kilmer had publicly opposed the abuse of painkillers, particularly opioids, his bloodstream now revealed a significant presence of these drugs. Why? Did he take them voluntarily, or was he given an overdose? Was this a final choice to escape prolonged pain, or a sign of negligence, or even orchestration? Together, these details paint a haunting picture. Val Kilmer did not die from cancer alone, but from isolation. No one was there to care for him properly. No one monitored his medication. No one intervened as his body began to collapse. This outcome raises profound questions about care or abandonment in the 21st century in the heart of glamorous Hollywood. And if he was left to die in such neglect, who allowed it to happen? And there is a detail that cannot help but raise suspicion in the entertainment industry. Pneumonia has long been a thin veil used to conceal unclear deaths. Kim Porter, model and former girlfriend of P. Diddy, was reported to have died of pneumonia at age 47, yet her death still leaves countless unanswered questions. Similarly, Andre Harrell, the producer behind the success of many hip-hop icons, passed away for the same reason. Is Kilmer's coroner's report merely a medical summary, or is it the final act in a drama designed to close a story Hollywood doesn't want anyone to probe? The presence of high levels of opioids raises further questions. Were they painkillers for his cancer, or an escape to soothe the emotional scars left by the blacklist? The severe malnutrition and untreated infection suggest a man who had given up on caring for himself, but why? Did Kilmer, after 15 years of being shunned by Hollywood, let go in the face of a world that had betrayed him, or was there a force ensuring he would never tell his story? Mel Gibson, who once called Hollywood a battleground of demons, hinted that Kilmer was not only blacklisted from his career, he was pushed into a corner where no one could hear his voice. Val knew too much, Gibson said, and those behind the curtain never forgive that. Could the coroner's report be hiding a darker truth, one tied to the moguls Kilmer once defied? The timing of his death aligned suspiciously with revelations about power networks among Hollywood's elite. Did Kilmer reject an offer or know something he shouldn't have and pay the price with a sentence that stretched from blacklist to grave? These questions remain unanswered. And in the world of Hollywood where light and shadow intertwine, the name Val Kilmer will forever remain an enigma not fully unraveled. Val Kilmer was once a radiant star of Hollywood, talented, handsome, and charismatic enough to turn every head in the industry. But what made him truly exceptional was not his looks or his iconic roles as Iceman, Jim Morrison, or Batman, but the way he lived, honest, proud, and unyielding. In an industry where silence is rewarded with opportunity, Kilmer chose to speak out. He refused to bow down, refused to trade his integrity for fame. The cost of that candor was 15 years of being erased from Hollywood. No roles, no prospects, only a solitary man battling illness and obscurity. Yet, in that darkness, he did not falter. Kilmer continued to create, to live, through paintings, journal entries, and the love he poured into his children. The documentary Val 2021 is a poignant yet serene farewell where he harbors no resentment, quietly recounting the journey of a man who devoted his life to art. From his life, we see not just a tragedy, but a quiet, profound lesson. Fame can be taken away, wealth can run dry, but integrity and honesty, if preserved, are a lasting legacy. Val Kilmer was not a victor in the conventional sense, but he was among the rare few who dared to hold fast to their soul until the very end. And perhaps that is the greatest triumph of a human being. But if Kilmer's candor landed him on the blacklist, the lingering question is, who else chose silence to survive? Was his silence in his final years a surrender or a strategy to protect the secrets he carried? The real story is not Kilmer's death, but why he was erased from Hollywood. If this mystery sends shivers down your spine, join us to uncover more about the dark corners of the blacklist and the truth buried with Val Kilmer.